Okay, I think we're ready. No, we're not. Discord failed. Oh, okay. Okay, the camera's failing on Discord. Fair enough. We have voice on Discord. We do not have camera on Discord. But then again, not many of you actually follow me on Discord. So, as always, if you're here, let me know so I know I'm not just randomly talking to myself. And hello, welcome back. I know I haven't been on for a few weeks. There has been some troubling times for myself, my family, some bereavements, well, a bereavement, some relationship situations. So yeah, we haven't started off with a very promising New Year's in this area of the woods. Hope everybody else has had a better January than I have. And welcome to the beginning of February. Although, considering there's only 28 days in February, we're nearly halfway through it already. I am sorry I didn't give you a 15-minute warning like I normally do. But I have been busy. I have food cooking and I've not long actually been home. So I do apologise. I've not given everybody a 15-minute heads up. But so, like I said, if you're here, drop a comment, let me know. I'm also live on YouTube and I'm live on Discord, although I'm only a voice on Discord for some reason. It's not allowing the camera. So I'm unsure why, but we shall look at that for the next time. If anybody does want to follow me on Discord, it's the same as every other channel. Speaking out fearlessly. Speaking out one word, fearlessly. So, as I said a couple of days ago, there's been some commitment issues changed. There's been some commitment issues, which is why we can no longer go live on a Thursday. And we will be going live on a Tuesday instead. And this Tuesday, we are discussing, we'll be discussing intrusive thoughts and compulsive disorder and having the both of them together. at the same time, and how they compare with each other and fight with each other and just, yeah, don't get along very well in the same mind. If anybody's had any issues with this, feel free to share your story below in the comments, or drop me a message and we'll try and get you onto a phone call chat. Oh, I'm dropping stuff. Excuse me, I'm just dropping me items. Okay, so anyway, getting on with it, moving on. Who deals with intrusive thoughts? Me. I get major intrusive thoughts. And I've had intrusive thoughts since probably being a young age. Those intrusive thoughts developed into suicidal thoughts at the age of 14, and I've dealt with them ever since. And sometimes they do become extremely hard to control. Now, because I also have the OCD, the compulsive part of the disorder, makes me vocalize not so much that I'm going to do it, but more the vocalization of how to put it, that I'm feeling that way of not wanting to be here, not wanting to be around. So if them intrusive thoughts tend to come to mind, if I have a question for, if I have a question that needs to be answered, or a question that I would like answering, if it becomes so intrusive, the compulsiveness takes over, because it's not something that I can just push aside and ignore. And I know people sit there going, oh, just don't worry about it, just ignore it, just don't worry until the time comes. Because you have intrusive thoughts and compulsive disorder, the compulsion to have to ask, or to have to vocalize, or to have to get the answer becomes overwhelming. It's something that you have the urge, it's more of a need than a want. You need to get that answer. You need to find out what your game plan's going to be. And for people that don't have that sort of mindset, and it's not mindset that you can control at all. You can try and sort of manage it in some sense. You can try and ignore it, which for me personally doesn't work. If I try to ignore it, that sets up the other issues, the anxiety, the depression, because it hasn't been settled. It just plays. and that compulsion and that urge becomes stronger and more overwhelming. Um, I've been in situations that, and one quite recently, I've needed a game plan for a situation. This game plan might never come into action. This game plan might never need to happen. But because of the compulsion and the urge and the overwhelming desire for the knowing what's going to happen, or not knowing that I've got a fallback, a plan if in action, if worst case scenario. Now, other people's minds obviously don't work the same way. Several people's minds I know of that don't work the same way. So that can obviously be quite tense for some people. Compulsion and intrusive are one of, well, it's like two demons fighting each other for the same result. The intrusive thoughts become so powerful because the answers need to be found, and the compulsion becomes so overwhelming because it has to be done yesterday. It has to be done before the question even got there. You need that answer, or you need that response, or you need that game plan before that game plan was even a question of it. You needed to know that. So it's like two demons trying to get the same answer, and you're the little pawn in the middle that they're moving, and 9 times out of 10 they're moving towards somebody that doesn't, or something that doesn't have that game plan, or have those answers, or have what you're needing at that minute in time. And that's where it causes a lot of problems. For me personally, that's where it's caused a lot of problems. And obviously, then when you get those overwhelming issues, that's when the secondary, what I call secondary intrusive thoughts, and because you've got your primary, which is your main question, your main intrusive thought, the main one that has to be answered. These are not technical terms, by the way. Don't quote me on these terms. These are just terms that I give to them. This is your primary question, your primary issue, your primary problem that needs to be dealt with, or the need to deal with it. And then because that primary issue isn't being dealt with, the secondary issue becomes an issue. And those are the secondary intrusive thoughts and for me, those are the ones that I've been dealing with since a kid. Those are when the voices, well, not so much voices, but crap in my head, basically. You're not worth it. You're not even worth an answer. You're not even worth someone sitting down making a game plan. You're not even worth having this in your life, that in your life. You're not worth anything. You're just crap. You're better off not being around. Everyone would be better off without you. Now, those are my secondary intrusive thoughts. Those are the thoughts that come when I can't sort of get to the point that I need to be with the first intrusive thought. Excuse all of the moving around. And then for me personally, what I need to, and I've come to this conclusion, I actually need to start to try and stop myself before I get to this point. Try and understand from persons or the other things, whatever the issue may be, from the other point of view, and then stop everything before it gets to these secondary ones, because once it gets to these secondary ones, I vocalize. And once those thoughts get in my head, that's when I don't feel like I'm worth anything. I shouldn't be around. I'm no good for my kids. I'm no good for my parents. I'm no good for my partner. I'm no good for anybody, basically. And I just should walk away from everybody. Leave everybody to do what they need to do and live their own life, and walk away and let them. And they'd all be better off without me. By that I don't mean in a walking away. Don't get me wrong, a few years back I did mean that way. And a few years back there was attempts. I'm not going to hide anything. Like I said, when I've started this show, I wouldn't expect you to come up and stand up and say something and then not do it myself. There's been many attempts, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. I wasn't successful. Right now, in this present time of life, I'd say, fortunately, I wasn't successful. I obviously have my partner, I have my children. Things are going okay, and my partner's children. So, yeah, fortunately, I wasn't successful with attempts, which isn't always the case, unfortunately, as some of us know a little bit all too well than others. Which I won't go into because that isn't fully my story to tell. There's other people involved with that one, and like I said, that's not fully my story to tell. So, yeah, those intrusive thoughts is the worst ones that you can have. The ones that fight against you, the ones that tell you you're not worth anything for your family. You're not worth even being around them, even being on the same breath, breathing the same breath as them. Those thoughts is when it becomes unbearable. I started vocalizing those thoughts, although it gets me into a little bit more crap than it should, I think. Because obviously some people don't want to hear it. Some people don't want to hear that the loved one is feeling that like they shouldn't be there. Sometimes it's not that they don't want to hear it, it's just they don't know how to react to it. They don't know what to say, they don't know what to do. So sometimes it does get hard with them sort of intrusive and compulsive thoughts, where you feel like it's so intrusive that if you don't say something to somebody, you're going to do exactly what that intrusive thought's telling you to do. And I have been on that side where I did exactly what that intrusive thought was telling me. And it's not a good place to be at all. It's not good to feel so low about yourself and so alone that those thoughts win. Because 9.9 times out of 10, they're wrong. We all have somebody, at least one person, that's willing to listen. We all have at least somebody that's willing to sit up with you all night and listen to what you've got to go through, listen to you ramble on, and it may not be the person you expect it to be. It may not be that it's your closest friend. It may not be your partner, your parents. It may be somebody completely different. Could be some random person you start talking to in a bar one day. It could be some person that you've watched on live stream. It could be some person that you've watched on YouTube. It may well be that it's your loved one, and it is what I would always advise for people who do deal with intrusive thoughts and compulsion disorder. Ask your questions, but understand that not everybody's the same. We're not all instantaneous. We're not all robots. As much as us with this sort of problem like to try and act that way, that everybody can pull out an answer instantly. And if somebody asks us what we're doing, or somebody asks us what the game plan is, we like to have a game plan. We like to know what we're doing. We like to know what's going to happen. We like to know exactly where the line's going to take us. And that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But understand not everybody is like that. Don't get angry because somebody doesn't think the same way. Don't get annoyed because somebody doesn't have the answer that you need instantaneously. Try to understand and try and help them understand in the same sense that you may need that answer, but they haven't. But you're going to understand that they may not have that answer straight away. So help them understand that fair enough, we can give them time, but we can't give them a lot of time. We can't give them weeks on end to give us an answer back. We can't give them months to be able to tell us how they're feeling, or what's going on, or what would happen if something went wrong. They need to understand we need a game plan. They need to understand we need to know. It's not the fact that we want to know. It's not the fact that we want to ask all these questions. We want to have all these thoughts in our head. We want to be going round in circles, needing to know the ins and outs of every crack and corner. We need to. We need to know to keep ourselves calm. We need to know what the answers are. We need to know how we're going to react to certain things. Are we going to act together? Are we going to act apart? Are we going to be on our own? Are we setting ourselves up? These questions are needs for somebody with intrusive thoughts and compulsion. Just a moment. Yes? I've got the spaghetti on now. I'm just doing the live and then I'm coming off and finishing it off. No problem. I know. I've got it on low heat. I turned it down while I was doing the live. Sorry about that. I'm making spaghetti bolognese for tea. So, yeah. So obviously I can't be on too long tonight. I did promise my daughter a spaghetti bolognese. So yes, basically, if you do have somebody that you're close to that has intrusive thoughts and compulsions, understand that sometimes the things that's in their head may come out, and sometimes they may not be able to help that. That's not an excuse of being a complete twat. Being a complete twat and having compulsions to say what needs is completely different. And should never be used as an compulsion, and intrusive thoughts and compulsions should never be used as an excuse to be an absolute twat to somebody. But for somebody that does have to deal with intrusive thoughts and compulsive disorder, please try and understand that sometimes they don't think of what they're saying. Sometimes the feelings take over more than their head does, and what's in their head needs to come out of their mouth. And they realize after that it shouldn't have been said, or they understand after that what they've said could be hurtful, even if they've said it about themselves. My issue is, I said the problem was what I said was about myself, but it hurt the one that I loved because I said it to them about myself, and that hurt them. And they didn't know how to deal with it. They didn't know how to react to it. It wasn't until after that I realised that I shouldn't have said that. I do need to sort of try and work the brain and the mouth together. It's just because there's a compulsion there and an intrusive thought there doesn't mean it has to be spoken, no matter what the urge is. And that's my homework, is needing to learn to ask the questions that I need to ask, but give the time for them to be answered. But not to let people take the mick and have too much time. Or say the things that need to be said, but be careful and understanding of how it may affect others around you that love you. And what effect it might have on other people. Because that in those moments, and this one's for the people that don't have the intrusive thoughts, in those moments we're not thinking of how it's going to hurt you, how you're going to feel about this, how is this hurting this person if I say this, how is this affecting this person if I say this. In that moment in time, that's a second thought. And I'll be completely and truthfully honest with you. In that present minute in time, the feeling and thought of how is this going to, if I say this, how is this going to affect this person? Once that thought becomes so intrusive that it becomes compulsive, everything goes out the window. We at that point are not thinking of, is this going to hurt them? Is this going to upset them? Is this going to make them feel bad? Because the only thought is, I need this answered. This needs to be said. This needs to get out of me. I need this to get out of my head. And the only way of doing that is it coming out of my mouth. So it's needing to understand each other and work together, sit down, find some common ground. And this part I will say, and this after me and my partner had a recent fairly big bust up. We sat down, we spoke, we went through everything that was bothering each other, and then we asked each other how we could help each other. How could we help the other one understand how we were dealing with stuff, what we were going through, how could he ask me, how could he make me feel safe? And then if I feel safe and understood and listened to, the compulsions won't be as strong for me to push for answers. And then I asked him certain questions and we worked together. We sat down, we spoke, we worked together and with an understanding of how we could work together, how we could work as a team and work together to help each other through all these problems so they didn't become a problem in the first place. Sorry, so they don't become a problem in the first place. Didn't is past tense. Yeah. And it's basically all I'm going to leave you with, because my kids are shouting for tea. Well, my youngest one. I'm going to leave you with work together, sit down, talk, try not to scream and shout at each other because it doesn't work. Talk, find out what the issues are with each other, find out how you can work alongside each other, what is going to be the best course of action for both people. So my course of action was, I need to understand that his mind doesn't work the same way as mine does. And when I have the compulsions and the urges that I need to get the questions out, is to understand that, yes, I can ask the questions. If the questions are there, I can ask them. If there's things that I need to say, I can say them. But understand that just because my mind works in a sense of need and urge of wanting it there and then, doesn't mean his does. So I need to then take, right, okay, I'll get these urges, these thoughts out, I'll get these questions out, but then I need to give him a day or two to process and to answer. And then he needs to come back within a decent, limited amount of time, not dragging it out, within a decent amount of time, when he's thought and processed what I've asked or what I've said, and talk about them. We work through we talk through the process, we talk through the game plan, we talk through everything that's going to be done or said or whatever the issue is. And that's basically how I've found best with intrusive thoughts and compulsion to say and speak and what's on your mind and how to handle it best for both a person with intrusive thoughts and compulsion and a person without. And I'm not going to say neurodivergent, because just because that's neurodivergent doesn't mean the partner is less neurodivergent, or that I am less neurodivergent than what the partner is. Yes, there is neurodivergency being tested for, which is ADHD in my case, and also the OCD is already there, but the ADHD. And I think the main thing for the ADHD is the intrusive thoughts, and I think that's what they actually testing it for, is the main thing. So anyway, I'm going to leave you with that. I know it's quite a short one this time, but I do have tea on the go, or dinner, depending on where you're from. Dinner in the US, or to be fair, most parts of England are calling it dinner now. But tea, dinner, supper, whatever you want to call it, we're going to eat. So I shall see you next Tuesday. I will drop a message or a quick live one day letting you know what next Tuesday is going to be about. And up till then, we shall see you. I hope you all have a better February, and I hope I have a better February than I did January, and I hope the rest of the week is going to be absolutely perfect for you all. Thank you for all your support, and thank you for your patience this year with me, and I love you all, and I will see you next Tuesday. Bye now.